So thanks a lot for this opportunity to have an interaction with you.
No, it's my pleasure.
So we'll go directly to the questions. And
Sure thing.
So numerous well-known Indians, such as Rabindranath Tagore, Gandhi, Vishwanathan Anand, they also have minor planets named after them.
Yes.
But then there are a set of young Indians like Hamsa Padmanabhan, Vishnu Jayaprakash, Ketal Vaishnav. They also have been honored with this, minor planets being named after them. But my understanding is that the process that was followed in your case is very different. You're
Yes.
Could you please explain
what
was that process and how it is different from the process that was followed in the people I have mentioned about?
Sure. I'll just explain as to how this whole thing works. So there are two ways in which minor planets are named. So one is almost like a ceremonial thing. So the thing is, any person who discovers a asteroid or a minor planet, the gentleman or the honorable lady who discovers it has the right to name it in name of someone. Okay. But there is also this criteria that you can't just name on any random person you like. It has to go through a filtering process by this International Astronomical Union nomenclature committee. And they have to look through, this person's sort of stature or, their track record or something. And
kind
they
contributions they have done.
Yeah, contributions plus in some cases, I think it's also something to do with they don't have any bad press, bad PR, nothing, no blemishes in their life and so on. So there are two things they look at. And once the IAU committee is okay with that, they approve those names. So that's almost like a small gift given by the discoverer to someone in their honor. So let's say, so I remember there was one gentleman who was a big fan of Nadal. And when he discovered an asteroid, he wanted to name this after Nadal. Similarly, Pandit Jasraj, the great musician, I think one of his fans wanted to name in his honor and so on. So that happens in a parallel way, in a separate way. Now, when it comes to scientific nominations, the way it works is generally the people who are quite accomplished in astrophysics, they send a nomination to the International Astronomical Union saying that so for this particular body of work or for this contribution that they have done to science, please do consider naming a minor planet in their favor. And then the IAU committee again looks at your body of work and what track record you have and so on. Then they approve the name. So that has happened in the case of this Vainu Bhapu, the famous Malayali scientist who was the founder of Indian Institute of Astrophysics. I think some of his best colleagues from Harvard recommended him for this honor. Then Vikram Sarabhai, the father of space program. Then Chandrasekhar, who was a distinguished Nobel laureate in astrophysics. For these people, they were these some of the best experts in the science world who recommended for this honor. So in my case, it's similar. I understand. This process is supposed to be not fully disclosed. So I don't exactly know who all nominated by name. But my understanding is my nominations have come from countries like France, Italy, America, China, Canada, and so on. So that's my understanding there.
Okay. So, so could you please tell a little bit about this particular, minor planet that has been named after you? Because there must be some kind of characteristics for this, minor planet.
Yeah, I'm very new to this because only one day before they announced this, before that I had no idea which minor planet or what's going to happen at all. All I know is it's a minor planet of the size of about 4 kilometers. And it's about 600 million kilometers away from Earth. And my understanding is its eccentricity is 0.2. Eccentricity means it's the way you separate the circular orbits to elliptical orbits and so on. So this eccentricity is pretty high compared to other asteroids. So I think it matches my personality that way.
That's funny. And now, could you please tell a little bit about your body of work also? Because, and that too in a very simple terms, because our audience may not understand too much scientific stuff. So
sure. So my work is essentially about trying to understand the orbits and the evolution, like the past, present, and future of bodies like asteroids, comets, and meteor showers in the solar system, and how they interact with the Earth. So generally, the idea is that you do certain numerical simulations using very powerful supercomputers and try to track these trajectories and see if they collide with the Earth or how they interact with the Earth and so on. So in practical terms, my work is essentially useful to sort of forecast impact threats on Earth from other asteroids or other bodies from space. And it's also important to analyze the sort of the flux and density of meteor showers on satellites. So as you can imagine, when you have some particles coming at very high speeds, it can actually pose a threat to these solar panels on satellites and spacecrafts and so on. So it's important to understand the stream trajectory and how these meteor showers evolve and so on, so that you can actually sort of navigate these satellites so that they miss these dangerous sort of swarms, as it were.
So how safe is the Earth, you would say?
Well, in general, I would say it's pretty safe from very high-powered impacts. So if you ask me, so how often these asteroids which kill the dinosaurs would come,
yes,
that is pretty rare. So we don't have to instantly worry about that, because those are pretty big objects and such events are pretty rare. So I think it happened about 65 million years ago or so. So roughly you can say those frequency comes in the order of many tens of millions of years. But when it comes to smaller bodies, so our own observation so far has only like a proper list of bodies up to, let's say, about 1 kilometer size. Okay. So there are lots of bodies under 1 kilometers, and we don't have an exact database or an exact idea as to where all these things are. And the funny thing or the dangerous thing is even bodies smaller than 1 kilometer can be pretty serious threats, because even bodies of the size of, let's say, few tens of meters can actually be pretty dangerous when it comes to an impact on Earth. So in 2013, there was actually a small rock about the size of 15 meters or so, which collided with the Earth in Siberia, in Russia, in a place called Chelyabinsk. And there are loads of buildings sort of shattered and glasses flying all around, and a lot of hundreds of people being hospitalized and so on. So this is about a rock of the size of 10 to 15 meters. So in that way, we have lots of unknown bodies in space, and you can never say as to when something dangerous is gonna hit our Earth. But anything more than 1 kilometer, which is like really, really dangerous, we do have an estimate, and we do have a sort of a reasonable idea when they would approach Earth and how to mitigate so on, because we know it in advance, right? So the whole challenge is to know this in advance. Okay. Maybe if we know when these bodies are gonna collide with Earth, then we can prepare for it. But something like a small rock a few meters suddenly coming from nowhere out of the blue, then it's sort of very tricky to deal with it. But luckily we have more ocean
so you were
than
saying
land.
that it's very hard to track very small objects, right?
Yes, exactly. And so if you ask me as to how safe Earth is, I would say, in general, it's safe from a city destroying kind of asteroid or like a civilization destroying kind of an asteroid. But if you ask me whether there is a chance for a small rock to hit, it can happen anytime. And we astronomers are not foolproof in that. We have to be honest about it.
And now, coming to the field of astronomy, like what actually, what was that thing that made you an astronomer? There must be some incidents that might have motivated you in your childhood or in your adolescence, something like that. Right? Yeah. So could you please share?
Yeah, I think in like most people, night sky has always fascinated me right from childhood. But if you ask me, the major trigger has been a couple of my mentors in my own family who used to encourage me to look for celestial phenomena like meteor shower or a comet coming to close to Earth or eclipse or many things related to science. So there were a couple of people in my life. One gentleman is Krishna Warrior, who used to be a former additional director of SIDAC Trivandrum. And then another gentleman, Shashi Warrior, who was a novelist, a crime thriller writer, and so on. These two people used to encourage me a lot to go to planetarium, take me around to science museum, and sort of inspire me to science and so on. So that has played a major role. That's one part of it. The other part is sometimes when you read certain science fiction and when you watch some sci-fi movies, like most youngsters, you feel a curiosity to know more, right? So then you sort of try to build on it.
Can you name some of those? Like something that you remember from your childhood or adolescence?
I remember, I think I must be pretty small at that time, probably 8th standard or something. I remember a Hollywood movie called Independence Day, where you have a lot of aliens sort of
alien invasion,
coming to, yeah. So I remember that movie pretty well. And it was both interesting and scary at the same time. But that made me thinking as to whether there could be life outside Earth and so on. So sometimes, although Hollywood movies can be pretty exaggerating and pretty fun and pretty colorful, still it can sort of trigger some spark, right? In some people's minds. Yeah.
And now, you were hailed as the only meteor astronomer from India. So what are the reasons behind this scarcity of professionals from India in this field?
The honest answer is I don't know, because as you can imagine, this shooting stars have been fascinating humans for such a long time. And lots of people have observed these things. But my understanding is, for some reason in India, there are lots of amateur astronomers who show interest in meteor showers and meteor phenomena. But I haven't ever come across any professional meteor scientist before me, or present, or even people showing interest to come into this field at all. So I don't exactly know why that is, but I also suspect that it also depends on the job opportunities available inside India.
Yeah.
So if you, let's say, specialize in stellar physics or solar physics or galactic physics or things related to cosmology and so on, then there are more chances for employment and better career opportunities inside India. So I think that would be one of the reasons which might be dissuading some people. That's one thing. The other thing is probably meteor astronomers are also a little low profile compared to, let's say, cosmologists like Stephen Hawking or Penrose. People like us are not famous, right? So in some case, maybe the people who really wanted to get into that glamour world of science, maybe they want to do something more
on that cosmological,
cosmology, and maybe something more widely sort of known, because it's very difficult to even introduce yourself as a meteor scientist to the world, right? Most people haven't heard, doesn't know about it. So I think that might also be some concern in youngsters, perhaps. Yeah.
Could you please share a little bit about your life outside being that, what clock of a scientist? What are the other
Sure,
activities and
yeah.
what are the kind of
Well,
interests?
I'm someone who enjoys lots of things outside science. So I'm not the usual sort of boring nerd, as it were. Yeah, so I'm not like a Sheldon character in Big Bang Theory.
Not a Sheldon
I
Cooper.
I also have a more colorful life than that. Yeah, I enjoy many things. I like a lot of traveling, trekking on mountains. I like swimming. I do chess. I like badminton. I used to play badminton quite a bit. I used to play some cricket and football quite a bit. And I also used to play chess at school and uni level and so on. So I do have multiple interests, but these days I think I do enjoy a lot related to traveling, because when you are in this profession, you get a chance to go to a lot of conferences and meetings in different parts of the world. So I've been to about 40 countries so far. It's nice to sort of explore the different culture, meet new people. Yeah,
And you're also
lots
into
of new
science writing
experiences.
also, right?
Yes, I do contribute science columns to a lot of national and international media. I think so far I have written about 100 columns so far. Yeah. Haven't been paid for all the columns. Maybe half of it got paid. But that's the way it is. Yeah.
And could you please share a little bit about your family also?
Sure. So my dad and mom, they are settled in Bahrain. They run the dealership of Kottakkal Ayurvedishala, which is quite a reputed firm in Ayurveda.
Yes.
So they run those dealerships.
My wife is also an Ayurveda doctor.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So then you must be knowing a little bit about Kottakkal.
Yes.
Yeah. So my dad and mom, they're actually involved in propagating Ayurveda in different parts of GCC. Presently in Bahrain and Oman. Yeah. So they are looking after a lot of patients, and some of them come in wheelchair and some of them walk back after treatment. So that's a nice feeling, right?
Yeah.
And my family is full of either allopathic doctors, modern medicine, or Ayurvedic doctors. So I am one of those non-useful doctors in the family. That way.
You became that meteor who went outside.
Yes. So I'm like out of the box in that way. Yeah.
So, like, are you married?
No. I'm still unmarried. Yeah, I do have a girlfriend, but I haven't ever decided whether to marry or not. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how old you are? 1985, right?
I'm 38 now.
38. Okay. So that's such an young age, and that big honor is coming in your way,
well, and I'm surprised, humbled, and honored. Yeah.
So, like, what are your future plans be like in the scientific world, as well as other activities?
Yeah. So one thing which I would really like to do is, which I already do quite a bit, is to do a lot of science outreach programs in India. So I do various projects to inspire young kids in schools in rural areas, tribal areas, and so on. I also work with lots of people inside the government to sort of do something useful for the science education and science outreach and various things related to giving opportunities to young people to pursue some research outside India and so on. So that's one thing which I'm very passionate about, and I hope to continue it in a little more steam, as it were, in India. And in general, the government has been very supportive, whether it's people from the legislature or the executive or the judiciary. They have all been nice to me, and they support my programs and help me to do certain things for the community.
Yeah. And were you also born and brought up in Bahrain, or?
No. So I did my entire education in India. My dad used to be a bank manager in India until I was like 8th standard or 9th standard. And then he left to Bahrain to join American Airlines. So I stayed back in India with my grandparents. One of the reasons why I'm very attached with my grandparents back in Kerala.
So that was in Ottapalam or something, no?
Yes. So my mom's side of the family is in Ottapalam, and my dad's side of the family is in a place called Cherplassheri, which is also half an hour from Ottapalam in Palakkad district. Yeah, so I grew up very much inside India, and I did all my studies in South India. So my schooling was in Cherplassheri and in Kochi. Then for my university, I was in Trivandrum, then in Vellore, then in Bangalore.
Trivandrum where?
So I used to be at MG College under University of Kerala. Then I was in VIT Vellore for my MSc Physics. Yeah. The BSc I did
Belfast.
College. Yeah, then I did my MPhil in nuclear physics from Christ in Bangalore. I used to do some project in Indian Institute of Astrophysics in Bangalore. Then I went on a British scholarship to pursue my PhD in Queen's University, Belfast. Then I went for a postdoc funded by the Research Council of Norway at Uni of Oslo.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my memories from Norway is there are only 3 seasons: cold, colder, and coldest.
Okay. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this. Thanks a lot for your time, and all the best for your future endeavors also.
Thank you.